Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and this is my tips and tricks guide for Tien in Season 3 of Dragon Ball FighterZ. As always with the tips guide, these are going to usually be a longer style of video, and there will be timestamps in the video description and in the top pinned comment on YouTube. So if you want to skip around, hey, check that out. And as always, we'll be going over a variety of topics, from some beginner stuff to more advanced concepts, and I'll point in between. So hey, let's get started. So first up here, let's talk his special moves, and the first special move is the Volleyball Fist. Now, this is one of the most versatile moves in the game, to say the least. So if you're on the ground, because there is an air version as well, the ground, the light version, and the medium versions, just kind of aim at your toes. And these are true lows. You do have to block them low. If you stand block, you will get hit. And from that point, you have follow-ups. So say we do light. It'll follow up on the same side here. If we do medium, it'll switch sides, and from there, we can do our third hit and chop them down. So, if we do light, 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 hey, that's 3 hits all on the same side. If we do, say, light, medium, light, then we switch sides and went from there. And now, conversely, the ender, the third hit, also determines the angle they drop down on. Light will drop them straight down, whereas medium will try and drop them a little bit diagonal forward. This is very critical for certain assists. Some assists like to drop straight down, some like the diagonal down forward, as you can recombo from there, right? So that is just one layer. If you do the Volleyball Fist in the air, it is a big old chop. And later in this video, I probably will refer to it just as the chop, as you can see here. And it's usually just a spike down and do a combo ender kind of thing. If you want to burn bar in the air, once again, it's just a chop down. If you burn it in the middle of your combo here, it'll do a variety of stuff, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the video. And finally, if you do the Volleyball Fist raw, as in EX, it just changes the move entirely, and it becomes a true command grab, meaning you cannot block it. The only way to get out of it is to not be in the way. It is a little slower for command grab, but it's 24 frames, but still, that's plenty fast enough to catch people sleeping. And as you see here, it does a solid chunk of damage, of which afterwards, after it connects, you can easily just super after, and that's like a solid 30%, you know, if you did it right away, which I didn't. If you want to cancel it in the super, you should do it right after that first hit. And there we go, you get your extra damage. So yeah, once again, very versatile move, and we'll be talking more about it later in the video. Next up is the Crane Strike. So Tien will do a very vicious knee attack here. Comes in 3 flavors, light, medium, and heavy being the EX. Is also air okay. Now, one thing to note about this move here, it is indeed a true overhead, so the enemy has to block this one standing. So it kind of compares to the Volleyball Fist being a low. But one thing to note here is if it's blocked, you are left airborne. So you're nominally safe, like if they down heavy and you can just block it, right? You don't have to worry about that. But you still have an air action left, so you can forward dash, you can jump. You can kind of do whatever you want to do, right? You have an air action to work with. Now, most of the time, you should get out of dodge, honestly, because you're a little bit negative, so whatever they're going to do, if you try to do something at the same time, they will win out. But still, you have the option to be belligerent and like kind of go for a cross-up or something like that if you want to. The ball, you can still run with it a little bit, basically. What you want to do, once again, I would suggest be a little more defensive, but it is an option, and once again here, it is air okay. And as you can see here, especially the medium version, cover a lot of air, right? So you can definitely catch people with this. Now, you have no semblance of air control, so if you whiff, as you see here, like, you're gonna have a bad time. You recover fairly quick, at least, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, it's mostly it's gonna be a combo ender, honestly. The light version specifically really good for corner combos. But other than that, it's an interesting way to, you know, produce an overhead. The EX version is the fastest. They have the least amount of time to react. You also have a ground bounce on the medium and EX versions. So you can get a little bit of a combo follow-up, as you can see here. And go from there, right? But yeah, EX, if you're just purely going for speed, EX is the one you want. And other than that, combo ender fodder for the most part. And hey, once again, you can be a little tricky with it, and you know, if someone's just rushing you down relentlessly as you're backing up, it's an easy way to kind of go forward and just, you know, smack someone being a little over aggressive. The Dodon Ray, quarter circle forward in your key blast button. Unfortunately, I gotta tell you, this is one of the worst beams in the game. You are left in the lurch big time if you whiff here. It is a long time before you can regain control of Tien. And it doesn't have the multi-hitting properties of the beam. It is a single hit. as an assist, which we'll talk about later, it is pretty good. But as a move in and of itself, it's not very good. In the anime, the Dodon Ray is straight up superior to the Kamehameha. But in the video game, ooh, not as much. I'm very sorry to say. You don't quite have the same stuff to work with. Now, in a pinch, if you need to control a lot of space, hey, it works. But you're probably a little better served off just doing a basic key blast, as it also controls space. And it doesn't present the same huge risk of whiffing like this does. Because if they're below you or above you, they can just go forward a little bit, homing dash, and it's a guaranteed punish. It's a very tricky move to make worthwhile, and tossing them out randomly in neutral is a good way to lose your character. Our final base special move is Telekinesis, and that calls in Chiaotzu, quarter circle back, and S. So it's a little funny in that it works not all the time. Every third time you do it, Chiaotzu come in, he'll be too scared and he just won't do it. But other than that, the first 2 times work just great. And every third time, well, hey, keep a mental note every time the third time's up, right? Now, one thing about it here is this is also an assist, and we'll talk about assist stuff later in the video. This one has much better tracking than the assist version does here. So, say if the enemy's like mid-dash or something here, well, the assist would basically miss. Chiaotzu will catch him pretty easily when he's like actually being controlled by Tien proper. So it's a really good way to lock people down, especially in the corner when their mobility is limited and when they're getting up. So you can like call an assist, call Chiaotzu, or if you have the right timing, you just call Chiaotzu anyways, and they have to wake up into him. So it's a pretty strong move, but once again, really keep in mind you pay attention to when the third time's up, because you can get your head kicked in if you're not paying attention. Now, let's talk Tien's super moves, because Tien works very different than other characters in this game. Like, yeah, he'll do a super and he'll do damage, sure, just like anyone else. But, like, have a look at his health bar, for example, here. You might notice that Tri-Beam took a lick out of me there, right? Every Tri-Beam you do, it does damage to you back. And that's just one example here. So, say you want to go crazy, you want to go whole hog, right? And you want to dump all your bars into Neo Tri-Beam, which is one of his 2 level 3 supers. We can do it, and we can hold the button, and you notice we'll get more shots, which is good, but each consecutive shot, his health is going to get more and more wrecked, where it'll take over half your health to dump all the bars into Neo Tri-Beam. Now, yes, you'll get more damage than a normal level 3 could put out, provided you have the bar, but that is a thing to keep in mind. Now, here's the secret about all this. So, say we do a combo here. And while we're doing our combo, we'll just talk to fill space, I guess. Alright, now we do our super. And now you see the damage said 1,032. That is at its minimum scaling. That is the least amount of damage the regular level 1 Tri-Beam can do. So at 1032, that is way higher than every other level 1 in the game. Most level 1s do like 800 to 850. And there's a couple, like Teen Gohan and Cooler do like 900. And they have like their own little caveats with that as well. But Tien blows past it. He has easily the most damaging level 1 in the game, when all things are considered, right? So that is part of the reason why he kind of pays a price. Also, if you hold the button, you can actually get different follow-ups here. It'll burn an additional bar. So say if I hold heavy, it'll be on both sides. And if I hold S instead, it'll just, or rather, sorry, if I hold medium instead, he'll just kind of line up all together, right? It's mostly cosmetic. There's a couple little tricks with it, but it's mostly cosmetic. But it's just another way to dump more bar. And it'll get more minimum damage as well. So basically, long story short, Tri-Beams, they do more damage than everything else, but at the cost of a little bit of your health. Just so you know, say if you're like very low on health, we set our Tien health, say like very low. If you do Neo Tri-Beam, you cannot do the additional follow-ups. You need to have the extra health. So you have to have the health on top of the meter to burn. Now for the level 1, you can still do the level 2 follow-up even with no health. That's fine. The game will let you do it. But for Neo Tri-Beam, you cannot. Now that's not to say the least of good old Chiaotzu. So Chiaotzu is another level 3. And you can only do it once. And there's a reason you can only do it once. You know, besides the fact he blows himself up, right? Chiaotzu has the best minimum damage of any level 3 in the game at 2,160. That is far in excess of even the Spirit Bomb that base Goku has, right? So that is why you only get one Chiaotzu. So after you do the move, you can't call Chiaotzu again. Like, if I do it again here, I'm just going to get EX knee instead. And if I try to do my call Chiaotzu move, the telekinesis, it won't come out because, hey, Chiaotzu kind of blew up, right? But yeah, so Tien has an option with 2 level 3s. The Neo Tri-Beam being the more standard one because you can always do it. And the call Chiaotzu, basically use it when you mean it. Don't use it raw unless it's a desperation move, because like raw, it does the exact same damage to Neo Tri-Beam, right? And the fact that long combo at the end is when it has its minimum damage value, and that minimum damage value being way higher than everyone else's, that is what makes the call Chiaotzu so valuable. So it's another thing here. Tien's basically all about damage. Between the Tri-Beams and Chiaotzu, that's what his supers are all about, and he does more damage than anyone else. Alright, so now let's come back to the Volleyball Fist here, and I want to talk specifically medium Volleyball Fist, as it's definitely become, especially with slight modifications, Tien's biggest breadwinners in Season 3 of Dragon Ball FighterZ. And one of the biggest properties it always had, but now that it travels full screen a lot better and all that kind of stuff, it's a lot more applicable, is it has a guard point on it. Now, you could just basically call this armor as well. I wouldn't hold it against you. The main difference between a guard point and armor is you don't take any damage at all. Versus like armor, you might, turn red or something, take a little bit of damage. This, you just tank everything, right? Now, it doesn't happen frame 1, but still it happens early enough into the move you can just work with it. So, we just used GT Goku as an example here, but say we got old mean Broly and he's spamming Ki Blast from full screen, right? Nah, don't care. That's fine. I'm in. Don't need to worry. And that's a basic Ki Blast, right? What about a more proper projectile? Well, same deal. You gotta do it a little bit earlier. There we go. It does not last forever, so if you're a little too early, as you can see, you will get knocked out of it. The guard point's not forever, but still, once again here, you can just tank it and go through it, and that basically applies to pretty much everything. Like, even if we have, EX Wolfang Fist spamming Yamcha, right? Do you have the timing correct? Well, as you can see, it's not exactly a trade, but it's still, you can basically do this against EX Wolfang Fist, and you don't got to burn bar and he does, and eventually you'll catch him, right? So it's one of those things where it's kind of interesting to see how it just plays out. So it keeps yourself defended from everything, basically. Now, once again, this is specifically the medium version of the move here. The light version, not so much. However, the light version scales better with combos, all that kind of stuff. So unless you specifically need the range of the medium version, the light version plays with combo structure and that kind of stuff better, right? But either way, lets you go into, Volleyball Fist and all that kind of stuff, which does a lot of damage. So, hey, let's talk about that next. Okay, so here's the thing with Volleyball Fist is with Season 3 of Dragon Ball FighterZ changing how EX moves work, specifically them costing less, his EXs are now totally worth doing. So before even the other follow-up, that would be a full bar by itself. And if you wanted to do both follow-ups here, that would be 2 bars instead of just 1 full bar where it is now, right? So if you only burn 1 bar here on the Volleyball Fist, so he'll pop you up and you can like chuck him, smack him down to the ground, right? If you're not aware, by the way, when he does that little bit of a flash, you will do extra damage if you wait for the flash versus mashing it right away. But if you only do the single follow-up here, you can kind of fall with it and then recombo from there, right? So it gives them a little bit to work with. So we can go like this, wait, and then, hey, we got a little bit of a combo, right? And that was only for 0.5 bars versus like if you just spent no bars at all, like, significantly more, right? So that's all well and good. And here, let me turn our damage values on here. And now with the follow-up here, it does so much damage in and of itself here. And that was with the medium here, that's which once again scales a little bit more. If we did it without the medium, as see here, it does about 200 more damage. The full combo is crazy. And of course, if you're not aware, you can follow up afterwards and do whatever combo, because the clones are technically what's hitting them, and the actual character's on the ground at that point. But yeah, the damage is absurd. And once again, Tien, we'll talk more about like team placement, all that. If he has the limit break on, if he has a sparking blast and all that kind of stuff, he can just delete your health bar. Once again, so this is as we talked about earlier, so for a full screen armored low, guard point, but armored low for sake of easy use here, you can do stupid damage, right? And all the more yet in Limit Break and Sparking Blast. It's definitely going to be one of the biggest things here, because Tien with any amount of bar is going to be a terrifying character to deal with, because he can kind of go through a lot of your garbage, like, you know, a Cooler or a Broly, but, you know, he's a small boy, he's not a big boy like those guys, right? But he can go through a lot of the garbage to meet the enemy on the other side of the screen and just deal some righteous damage. Volleyball Fist is so much stronger in Season 3 with EX bars being much cheaper than they were before. Also, to quickly note, Volleyball Fists are not unsafe on block, but they are negative. So you definitely lost your turn, but you can do an easy option select to make sure it's always your turn. So just right as it hits, just hit H and vanish. So if it's blocked, well then you vanish, and it is a true block string rather. So the enemy can't like do a level 3 or reflect out of or anything. And if it hits, then instead what you'll do is just go for your first EX input, and it'll eat the vanish input during that time. So the vanish won't come out. So you always just get the best of both worlds. So if you get blocked, hey, your turn still. You're still at advantage. And if not, then, well, whatever. You got what you were looking for anyways, and you just go from there. So let's talk another thing that's new to Season 3 of Dragon Ball FighterZ 4 Tien, and that is his EX aerial chop here, this guy right here. Now you can actually do it incredibly low to the ground for an effectively unseeable, unreactable overhead. Certainly a lot faster than the usual knee dunk or the universal overhead options, although obviously it will cost you a bar versus those other guys, right? So how do you do it? Well, it's actually quite simple. So let's turn on our inputs here so you can see my inputs on the side. So all you have to do is use the Tiger Knee technique. So the move, if you were to be in the air, is just quarter circle forward and heavy, right? So we're going to do the quarter circle forward heavy, but right before we hit the heavy button, we're just going to hit up forward, like diagonal up forward towards the enemy. So the motion, if we just clear it here, it'll look like this. So we hit the quarter circle forward requirement already, and then we hit up forward and heavy. So what we are basically is a single frame or two off the ground, and the game already recognizes the input in our buffer here as quarter circle forward. So it's, oh, you want to do this move. And since we can do it so low to the ground, it retains its overhead property. So say if we set the enemy to block everything here, and we'll set them to crouch, you'll see that they have to stand to block it, just like a regular jumping attack. So this really ups a lot of his potential mix-up game here, because once again, he already has a special low. All volleyball fists are lows and have to be blocked as such, right? So if you have a moment to breathe, a moment to spare, you can basically say, okay, am I going to do, you know, my down light, my down medium, you know, volleyball fist, or am I just going to crank you real quick here and hit you with the chop, right? These are all things you have to worry about. And of course, if you want to do the chop here, you can definitely follow up with whatever special you so choose, be it like a level 1 or one of your level 3s. You have an option. You're not going to get big combos, sure, but it's just an option to get someone here, and it's generally going to be a solid about 30%, right? And that's nothing to sneeze at. And it just basically makes your high-low game a lot stronger. Now, if you do it a little too quick here, if you hit heavy before you hit up forward, you'll wind up doing the command grab. And, you know, maybe happy accident, you get the command grab anyways. You know, it's not the end of the world. They had to basically homing dash or just back dash or just not be there. And if they did any of those things, well, they're going to get bonked by the chop anyways. So, hey, whatever. It works out, right? So yeah, just give it a practice. It's not hard. Once again, all you need to do is just your regular quarter circle forward motion, and all you have to do is hit up and forward and then hit your heavy button, and then you have an instant air chop, a very difficult to deal with overhead. That happens a lot faster than any other overheads you can put out. So let's talk about Tien's assist options. Everyone now obviously having 3 assist options in Season 3 of Dragon Ball FighterZ. So his original assist to Dodon Ray is honestly better than ever. So as it stands, it's sort of like a beam. It doesn't have multiple hits, but at any point during the duration of the move, as it is fairly active, it's out there for a little bit. If you touch it, then it does its damage, and it'll pop you straight up. And that pop-up, the minimum time you can be in the hit stun for it has been raised in Season 3 of Dragon Ball FighterZ. So the part where I hit you and then like I can just get whatever follow-up, that has been raised. Before it was like quite a bit lower. I'm not sure the exact number, but it feels like almost double what it used to be, which is great because you can do a lot more combos now that you could never, ever do before in a lot more situations. As it stands, it's a really good recombo assist. If you're backing up here, it's pretty easy to make people, jump in. It's stronger as a defensive use and more offensive like a beam, in my opinion anyways. But yeah, it's still solid, right? With the new B assist, telekinesis, it's very much like his base move. The thing here is, and actually let's turn on, or rather turn off some of our meters so we can see. It is an assist that actually builds you meter. That's very rare, because as I think, it's only other base Goku B assist is the only other one that does that, right? Now, it doesn't do damage, that's the payoff, but honestly, I'd rather have the meter than the damage, all things considered. And yeah, it holds you in place, it tracks wherever you are, so if you're up in the skybox here, he'll try to get you, and that's the one thing here. The tracking is quite a bit worse on the assist version than the actual version of the move. Tracking is a lot better when Tien's actually doing it himself versus if you call the assist, but still, it lets you do a lot of combos a lot of other assists cannot let you do. It has a fair bit of block stun as well. It has the meter gain. It's pretty solid all in all around. If you want A or B assist, either way, just go with your personal preference. The C assist, well, it looks visually cool because it uses the multiform. It's kind of whatever, in my opinion anyways. Now, it has a large amount of block stun. I will give it that. It has a very large amount of block stun. So, say if the enemy were to block it, as you see here, it has 50 frames, right? So that's pretty good. But, C assist being very slow to recover and all, it doesn't really track like some other C assists. If you're looking for high block stun, telekinesis already has high block stun, already has 40 frames, right? That is definitely in excess of average. And if you're looking for low block stun, Dodon Ray also has low block stun, which is good in other ways for like throw gimmicks and all that kind of stuff, right? So he already has a high block stun option, he already has a low block stun option, and C assist, in my opinion, is kind of the worst of the three. He just kind of does his hit and that's it. Versus, some of the better ones have like tracking or, have a beam built into it or whatever. But yeah, you can't go wrong with A or B in my opinion. Now, I do want to talk about Tien's pressure in Sparking Blast, as I feel it got a significant upgrade in Season 3 thanks to the Tyranny Chop. So if you're unaware for some reason, you can jump cancel any move in Sparking Blast, even on block, right? That's just one of the perks of Sparking Blast. And with that, so say any basic string, right? Okay, from this basic string right here, alright, I can threaten you with a special low, regular low, instant overhead, command grab, or just something more basic like, hey, cross up, right? And Tien has a very long jump medium and stand medium, so even if he's very close to you, you can always get the follow-ups, unlike some characters they can't. With shorter range buttons. So basically, he can high-low, left-right throw every time he's in Sparking Blast, right? Not the least of which is, he can like take into Dragon Rush or something thanks to the other Season 3 changes. So when Tien's in Sparking Blast, his options are frankly like huge because he can just toss out anything. I can threaten you with lows, I can threaten you with a new TKA overhead, I can threaten you with a command grab, or I can just very easily kind of go on the other side of you and just crank you from there, right? Like, he's going to be one of the most difficult characters in the game to block in Sparking Blast, in my opinion, thanks to the changes of Season 3 and giving him all these new options. Okay, so these next few sections here are all about his pressure options. We call Okizeme. Basically, I'm going to knock you down, and what can I do to you? What kind of pressure can I give to you on your wake up, right? And Tien has some of the better solo Oki options in the game. So first, let's talk about one of his Season 3 new B&B combos, this guy right here. And at the end of it here, you're going to see we're going to be plus 51, as you can see here, right? And what can we do with an additional 51 frames where we know the enemy can't hit us? Well, it turns out we have a very easy setup that covers basically everything. So at the end of this combo here, all you really need to do, and this is all she wrote, this is very simple, just hold straight up. And then at the peak of your jump, dash forward and hit heavy. Now, what does this beat? Well, kind of everything. So first up here, just so you know, the enemy is set to down heavy. So can we beat down heavy? Well, yeah, easily, in fact. It's a non-issue. We can easily crush it down heavy. and then we could recombo from there, right? And if we can crush down heavy, just so you know, we beat Vanish and all that kind of stuff too. What if the enemy's going to be crazy and do a wake up level 3 or something invincible like that, right? Well, this is a safe jump setup, so we don't have to worry about it. So as we do our combo here, we're going to do the exact same thing. Just hold up, dash. Oh, he did a reversal, whatever. As a safe jump, we had plenty of time to block. Now that's all well and good, you say, right? But what if they up tech? Well, it turns out, yeah, we can still smack them out of the air with an up tech. So it's really not an issue. So we basically get every permutation of wake up option other than delay tech. And it's sitting there. We caught them just fine with the up tech. And if they up tech Vanish or up tech level 3 or whatever, we're still safe. It's fine. Oh, we beat the Vanish and we're safe from the level 3. But yeah, so except for the universal options that kind of beat everything anyways, you know, delay tech or just wake up reflect. Yeah, we got everything dead right. So this simple setup covers everything with your basic corner B&B combo. Now, level 3s control your wake up, and Tien has 2, and they both have different styles of pressure after wake up. So first up, let's talk Neo Tri-Beam. So it doesn't really matter what you do, like whatever combo, you're always going to be plus 29 after the fact, right? And what can we do after that? Well, hey, it's pretty simple. So normally, if you do an instant air dash and try to hit a button right away, you whiff, right? You do not, rather, the enemy doesn't recover fast enough for you to like bonk them in the head. But that's fine, because all you have to do is just do the instant air dash, do your button and whiff. That's not a problem. And then what we're going to do is immediately just mash on down light. And it's really that simple. So that's a low option, right? And if they try to hit a button or whatever, Vanish or whatever, we beat them out of it. And now, after that, well, okay, if we can hit him low, that's easy enough. How do we hit him high? So to hit him high, all you have to do is do the super jump install of your instant air dash. So once again, and this video will be linked at the end of this video as well, just so you can see the concept. But all you have to do is hit down, then instant air dash, and it gives you the super jump property to your instant air dash, which at that point, just hold up forward or up back, whichever you prefer, to give the super jump float property to the instant air dash, and you'll stay in the air just a little bit longer, and then you'll be in the air long enough to bop them on the head. So between those two options right there, that is guess high, low, because it's basically visually impossible to distinguish which one is which. Now, if you're trying to do like a regular jump or something, unfortunately, with the numbers, the frame data being what it doesn't quite work, as they will be able to down heavy you and all that kind of stuff. So they have a lot more stronger defensive options. But right there, once again, just regular instant air dash into lows, or super jump, install your air dash into a float so you can stay in the air just a little bit longer, and you can bump them in the head. And that's just basically overhead low, guess which. So here's the big one, Chiaotzu. Chiaotzu gives you a very large plus 44 frames of advantage. You can do a lot with that. And one thing about Chiaotzu when he explodes is he has a fixed distance between you and the enemy. The distance is always going to be in the same. So if we're cornered, and it's still going to push him out the same distance as it was mid-screen, as you can see here, and say we have them in the corner, right? Same deal, it's going to push them out. And also, with this in mind, and it's helpful with the mix stuff here, it doesn't leave the enemy cornered. As you can see here, we can take the corner, where you're normally, when they're in the corner, we can't do such a thing, right? So we always have the option for a left-right mix, no matter what, no matter where we are on the screen. And the distance is always fixed, therefore, the situation is always fixed. No matter what, we can get the same options. If we did it in mid-screen, if we did it in the enemy corner, if we did it in our corner, whatever, we always get the same options. Alright, so we have a lot of options to go from here. So similar to the previous one we talked about there, Neo Tri-Beam, if you instant air dash right away, you'll whiff, but you'll be able to get a meaty down light. Also meaty down medium, as long as you are early enough in the frames. So that's cool. That's like layer 1. You can also do, because we always have a side switch available to us, you can also do that, right? So air dash, whiff, RM, which won't connect, immediately air dash, M again, and then go for it. And once again, since it leaves a little bit of space in the corner, if we corner them, we can always do this little left-right mix-up as well. And that's pretty basic right there. That's, you know, left or right. But what about high and low? Well, hey, so the float mix we talked about from Neo Tri-Beam, same deal here. If we super jump install our instant air dash, then we can float, stay in the air a little bit longer, and then, hey, we have enough time to bop him on the head. So now that's overhead, low, left and right options. Say if you want to play it very basic, just hold up and forward. No fancy stuff, just hold it. You'll jump first frame, and you'll land time to just kick them in the head, right? And that's a safe jump as well. So if they try to, you know, level 3 super or something, you just land, you have time to block. That's fine. Another potential layer is something like this. So jump and air dash, but no instant air dash. Air dash a little bit after the jump. And then what will happen is this. And then, hey, we land on their head. Once again, beats down heavies, beats vanishes, safe jump, all that kind of stuff, right? So same idea as last time here. So jump, air dash, just a little slower than last time though, so we gain a little more air before the dash. And now, hey, we had enough time to cross up and bonk him on the head, right? And so that's another left-right mix. And of course, you can just go even more basic, like just run up to him when you touch him, just down medium, which is a meaty, so they can't hit any buttons. And of course, just playing with that, well, look like we'll run up, try to meaty, and instead we'll just instant air dash right over their head. Whoop! And once again, Tien has the long button, so we can always get the instant air dash into combo follow-up and all that kind of stuff, right? And there's probably a million more layers than what I even said, right? But we have a lot of permutations of high, low, you know, cross-up, you know, so basically up, down, left, right, whatever the mix you want, you're going to get it. And of course, you can just get basic and like just run forward and throw them or whatever if they're paralyzed and they don't know what they're going to do. So yeah, you get a lot of options, and you get all these options everywhere on the screen. Doesn't matter if they're cornered or not. You can always force left-right stuff with Chiaotzu. He has the mix. So now with this guide, hopefully I showed you, hey, Tien's got some stuff to work with, right? Where do you put him on a team? Is he a point character, is he your mid, or is he your anchor? And I'll say right now, he's definitely not your point character, right? There's some debate to whether or not he's a mid or an anchor. In my personal opinion, especially now at Season 3, I do firmly believe he's best served as your anchor. One, you know, hey, he's got 2 good assists, right? As we went over, he has the Dodon Ray and Telekinesis. Those assists will help anyone in the game pretty easily, right? So it's nice to always have those assists to back you up, sure. And to me, specifically, I think he benefits more than most characters in the game thanks to the new limit break mechanic. Let's show you an example here. I showed it in the recent combo video, right? All I gotta do is hit you with stand M. And like I can do this mid-screen, right? Stand M, okay, you're dead. Like I'm not sparking blast or nothing. Like, I'm not going to spark. You're just dead. You're a dead character. It's game over. I didn't even have to start in the corner, right? And I got plenty of bar left over. You need about 4.5 bars, which once again, in Sparking Blast, very reasonable to get, because you get a free extra bar. But yeah, but for reasons like that, like, the EX Volleyball Fist does so much damage as it currently stands. And like, look at that. That's 36% in that limit break. That's before you even finish up the combo, right? That's a ridiculous amount of damage. And Tien, obviously well known for the damage, right? So while supers don't benefit from the limit break, the everything else does, and it helps him hit like a truck. Say if you're a limit break and sparking, like look at this. That's 40% before the combo even starts. So yeah, I think Tien benefits much more than the average character when it comes to limit break, thanks to so many of his high damage EX options, especially EX Volleyball Fist. On top of the fact, you know, he's a solid anchor character anyways, in my opinion. You know, he makes you play fundamentals. Fundamentals are what you need when your anchor character is up here, because the more you gimmick out, the less likely that you're going to make a comeback, in my opinion anyways. But yeah, he just works really well with limit break. Now, I don't think he's a bad mid character, to be sure. But with all that said, I think he runs with the ball so much better in limit break than most other characters. So in my opinion, he makes a really good anchor. And finally, for general game plan, Tien's about as general as the game plan gets. He's got all right buttons, you know, he's got all right neutral. But there's no one thing that's like really overwhelming. You know, Air M's pretty decent. You know, it's a little bit better than average. So if you're like looking to catch people and then convert to, you know, ML, then down heavy and combo from there, and the air-to-air stuff, that's fine. But yeah, one thing you can make people really scared of is trying to make big decisions from far away. Because medium volleyball fist is here to ruin their day with the guard point startup. And he does low profile quite a few things, actually, once the slide begins, which is also really nice. And from there, once again, thanks to the devastation of EX Volleyball Fist. You can do so much damage. Or just, you know, take your hits and just go from there, right? That's fine. Besides just abusing Volleyball Fist, you can just work the general game plan. You know, a lot of basic key blast. His basic key blast, actually, if we turn on our damage values, is one of the most damaging regular key blasts. It does 7.5% by itself. Now, obviously, you can't do multiple follow-ups or whatever, but it's a good chunk of change, honestly, all things considered, really. So, you know, don't feel too scared to toss it out. And plus, you know, once people start super dashing or just, you know, doing crazy movement, that's when you start challenging with medium Volleyball Fist and ruining their day. Basically, you know, don't play stupid unless, you know, you feel like the volleyball is flowing throughout you and you feel like playing stupid. But yeah, just play basic fundamentals and you'll be well rewarded for it. Once again, his damage output is through the roof. It's very high. He rewards a basic touch more than most characters, especially because, you know, the minimum scaling on his supers is so much higher than everyone else. He has the nuke with Chiaotzu, and as we went over earlier in the video, he has a lot of nicks from Chiaotzu to the point where, you know, you guess wrong. Like, whatever, if you took whatever combo Chiaotzu in it and you guess wrong, you lost the character straight up, right? Because he does so much damage. But yeah, just play basic fundamentals and he will treat you right. So in closing, I think Tien has benefited from the Season 3 patch more than most characters. He was a character that was semi-popular in Season 1, mostly for double tri-beams, because once again, did a lot of damage, right? But he kind of fell off the map in Season 2, despite the fact that, once again, he was a solid fundamentals-based character, right? But with the changes of Season 3 that benefit him, and the actual buffs he got, you know, new stuff like TK overheads and all that, with the Season 3 changes and the changes he himself got, I think he's got a new lease on life. So with all that in mind, everything we've shown previously in the video, I say, hey, check him out. But other than that, my friends, I guess that is the end of this video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.